Your species don't have a self-preservation instinct. That's why. Naralak uttered, with exasperation at the human. What are you talking about? And what does it have to do with the Pedro replied. Of course a human would not jump off a cliff or eat a radioactive isotope. Willingly. Well, at least not most of you. But no other interstellar species, even the most bellicose ones, will just accept death the way humans do. The higher the risks, the better the reward. That's how we roll. It's not about risk, it's about certain doom. When the Iltian Diplomatic Corps first found Earth, we had our most tense first contact situation yet. Naralak paused expectantly, hoping for the human to swallow his bait. Why, my Iltian pal? You forgot your lunchboxes that time? Retorted the human almost angrily. They were truly worried that you humans would just start ramming your ships into theirs. You looked at our internet, right? The content of your internet is no more disturbing than most species to us. Your history, on the other hand. Yes, I guess there's some dark patches there. Pedro dropped most of the mock in his tone. Of course, we all have. But the IDC was mostly worried with the several accounts of life-ending attacks perpetrated by healthy and fit humans throughout your history. You mean terrorism? It's been a while, man. No, I mean as a whole. Your history is filled with instances of otherwise healthy individuals accepting and embracing death. Ship ramming, self-immolation, terrorism, kamikaze attacks, asteroid riding, propulsor ramming. I doubt that we are the only ones who had that idea. Taking your enemy with you is about as obvious a tactic as ambushes or overwhelming numbers. Don't give me that shit. You don't follow. Plenty of militaries will have a last resort attack. There's no self-preservation when death is unavoidable. Your species, on the other hand, is the only one that came up with FTL while having a story filled with the logic-defined impulses to self-terminate on a whim to hurt the opponent. So the FTL consortium is comprised entirely of non-violent peoples? No terrorism ever occurred in their worlds? No atrocities? You just sit around the fire smoking weed and chanting Kumbaya? Some are non-violent. Some species are fond of their atrocities. The main issue here is finding a species with individuals willing to essentially self-terminate so promptly, and that has had enough of a motivation to take to the stars. So what? The Unconventional has a whole infantry division that replaces their stomach with a low-yield nuclear explosive. The Unconventional were uplifted by the Iltian government to serve as infantry vanguard. You know that. Thus proving they will be incapable of reaching space by themselves. Yes, I mean, have you ever met an Unconventional that had any resemblance of scientific curiosity? Wanderlust? Anything of the kind? Okay. That was just a bad example. And still, what does it all have to do with developing FTL? Do you guys really think any species like ours just blow themselves up before going to space? Almost all, obviously. I mean, even the way you made FTL furthers my point. Look, Nara, my dude, now you are shitting on our technology. Did you know the zip drive is the fastest first original iteration for an FTL engine a species has ever come up with to ever grace the whole consortium? Yes, and also the ships just disappeared 2.5% of the time when you used it. Heck, even the name is ominous. Zip drive. Sending a ship on a straight line through hyperspace without understanding hyperspace is just suicidal. The name was awesome, just zipping through the universe. You Xenos are just pansies, you know. Still, you haven't answered my question. Why do you think other species invented FTL? It's only natural to want to travel the universe. Besides, travel the universe. How human of you. Do you know why most species develop FTL in the time frame they do? What do you mean in the time frame they do? I mean, humans are especially slow at developing spacefaring technology. Don't make that face. Your species is very adept at doing science inside a planet's atmosphere, but for anything outer space, you're the backmarkers of the consortium in terms of tech. Right. So we are just slow apes that would rather blow ourselves up than travel the universe. Let me give you an example. Take the Nishlum. Once they learned about the nature of the cosmos, it took them only 500 years to first contact. Granted, the little furry things really seem more comfortable in space than on their own planet, but that's them. Their fight or flight instinct is just flight. Sure, they are an exception, but humans are too. Just the opposite. The median time from understanding the nature of the cosmos and first contact with the FTL consortium is around the 1,000 years delta. Humans took 6,000 years to do that. Okay, but you've only been at it for the past 1,000 years or so, after the asteroid thing. From my perspective, you just made up some wild theory and now took it as a chance to piss on my species as a whole. Look, it's not personal. Xenosociology shows that the main reason most species we've found so far leave planets and their star systems is self-preservation. It's something taught to everyone in xeno-relationships. Huh? That again? It still makes no sense. I mean, even after everything we discussed, you still don't get it? Enlighten me. It all has to do with a species understanding the true nature of the cosmos. That is a bitch and a half. We all know that. You may know that, but your ancestors took their time making that realization. Can't blame us for our past. Xenosociology sure can and does. It's postulated that the chance of a species becoming interstellar depends directly on the time distance between having that knowledge available and having developed FTL capabilities. How so? That seems to be a very arbitrary measure. Once a species learns that the universe is a bitch and a half, like you say, they understand the constant chance for their extinction. This is the main driver behind leaving their planet's gravity well, and essentially creating FTL to leave their star. That's it? They are afraid? It's a feeling more akin to dread, deeply entrenched, existential dread. Most species in the FTL consortium have this somewhat instinctivity, for a lack of a better term. They have this understanding of their cosmical insignificance as a whole. It's only a question of when and not if they will be in the receiving end of an extinction-level event. Well, we knew that too. And what did you do with that knowledge? We did move that asteroid heading towards Earth like 2,000 years ago. That only took most 3,000 years of development and a generation of thrusting it with MAM nukes. If anything, that asteroid was the only reason you reached FTL. The killer asteroid, who gave birth to dozens of doomsday cults and helped some totalitarian states rise, gave us FTL. It focused your efforts, kept you from using the most destructive weapons you had available on each other for a while, and forced your people to finally unite and explore your star's potential. I'll give you that. Most of the advances we made were during the last 1,000 years. If we had what we have now, that asteroid would be little more than a nuisance. So you get it now. Why other species developed FTL? Self-preservation. And humans don't have it. Then why did we develop FTL? Why? I'm not a xenosociologist and I don't think they know either. As for how? Luck. Fuck you, man. Just pass me the Brazil nuts already. Those are poison! You are not supposed to eat them!